making some pals, and there's also therapy too.
Perfect. Oh my gosh. I feel like we have such an episode today. It's kind of nuts.
I love this episode.
I know. Well, it's wild to think about, like, this is the first one because we hear about Sweetums so much, I feel, in the other, episodes of the show. So this is the very first one, and I think that it's really wonderful to see, like, the origin story of it all.
Yeah, no, I love it too because, yeah, it's definitely, like, we already know it's an institution and it's, like, this big thing. And is Jessica Wicks already connected to Sweetums when we meet her? Okay. I had a feeling.
Not yet. But okay, so we're starting. So Season 2, Episode 15, we've got Sweetums. This is our first one. This is written by Alan Yang, who we already know and love. Just a friendly reminder, he is like a big, guru of parks, but if you don't remember, he's written Boys Club and Sister City, which we've done. Those are the two that we've already done from him. But he also created Master of None with a C's, and he produced The Good Place, and he's like super deep into the Sherverse, if you will. I haven't mentioned it. I don't think I've mentioned it on the podcast yet, but he does have a podcast technically with Rob Lowe talking about Parks and Rec. And I haven't I have messaged him. I just haven't mentioned it. Oh my God, I keep saying message. I haven't mentioned it because I don't want to be like swayed by how they run their podcast. I haven't even listened to it yet. And you would think that I would because, I love all the things behind the scenes. And it's not any sort of like bitterness. At first it was, but now it's truly just like, I feel so inspired by Office Ladies sometimes that I wonder if like I am, being kind of, I just am doing things similarly to them because I love them so much. So I wonder if I'll do the same thing if I listen to the other Parks podcast. But I also know like Sean has listened to it a few times and he said it's a completely different like vibe and format. So,
okay.
I don't know. So maybe I'll give it a chance this week or next or something. But regardless, I would be totally down for a collaboration.
Yeah, seriously. A merge.
I did message his PR team because they were the only ones listed on IMDb. And they said that he's like on a hiatus with them. So they said to reach out to his agents. And I was like, do you have their contact information? And I haven't heard back from them yet. So I don't know. They probably won't give that to me. But I don't care. It's okay. And I also obviously messaged and commented on Instagram. So if anyone wants to start a petition / messaging him on behalf of us, that would be very helpful.
Everybody rally.
Yes.
Together.
Because we love Alan and I would love to meet the creator of Sweetums. Also, if you've ever heard him talk, and I'm sure he gets this all the time, it's probably really annoying, but if you've ever heard him talk, he totally sounds exactly like Aziz. Like his voice is so similar.
Interesting. I'll have to go listen to him do something because I don't think he ever has any lines as the bass player. He's kind of just there, right?
Yeah. No, he has a few lines, but it's not enough to really tell. But
right.
when he is in a full on conversation with someone, I've listened to him being interviewed by Conan and a bunch of other people. He just has the same cadence and tone as Aziz, and it's just really interesting to me how similar they are.
Huh, okay, cool. I'll have to go. Yeah,
which would make sense being partners, I suppose.
Yeah. That could make sense. You kind of adopt the same verbiage sometimes when you hang out with enough people, with the people enough. So
yeah, totally.
I feel that.
But anyway, so this was written by him. So thank you for bringing that to us. And then it was directed by Dean Holland, who I'm not going to say a bunch about because you already know how much of a fangirl I am. But he's on my capital W wish list to geek out over. But he was also a major editor for The Office and deep into the Sherverse as well. Just as a friendly reminder, if you're just now joining us. So. Yeah. But anyway, so I have summary written, so I'm ready.
Yay! So Sweetums, Pawnee's local candy supplier, is trying to get in the park game by providing Nutri-Yums, which is Ron totally is in favor of. However, once Anne informs Leslie of how unhealthy these snacks are, they partner up at a public forum to inform the Pawnee citizens and let them decide. While Anne and Leslie try to save Pawnee from obesity, the rest of the office binds together to move Tom out of Wendy's house using Mark's pickup truck.
Nice. Very thorough. That was a good one.
I love the side story on this, and I think it's mostly because it pisses me off so much.
I know. There are some deleted scenes that I'll talk about too that make me even more angry, and I'm so glad they cut it because I'm just like, Tom, you fucking asshole. I hate you so much.
Like, is he really this big of an ass throughout the entire thing? Or like, are they still finding him? Because like, he's awful in this episode. Like, I would have left. I don't know why any of them stayed. Like, I would have taken all the boxes out, put him on the sidewalk, and left.
Oh my God. I know. No, I think they've found him for the most part. They just haven't like shown his vulnerability enough yet. But this was intentional, I feel. Yeah. But yeah, I agree with you.
Well, I'll tell you, I had a lot of lines that I wrote down. So I'm not going to be hurting for a favorite line this week.
Lines. Which is weird because I was the opposite. I kind of struggled with my favorite line.
Wow.
And maybe it's just because I liked the whole episode. I don't know. But we'll get into it. Yeah. I do have a warning though. So many guest stars message me back and I am so excited to share that with you guys. So many people sent voice memos and then emailed, and I'm actually talking with one of them later via Zoom because he prefers to talk. He just wants to meet. I think like not. I don't think he wants to record anything or whatever, which I'm happy to do.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that when we get into it. But starting off this cold open, Tom is asking Justin for fashion advice. This first outfit is so awful with the fur lining on the coat. It's so dumb.
The only outfit I could get behind was the one with the audio waves on it that lit up.
I know you're talking about.
Yeah. I was like, okay, that at least has some style. If it wasn't lighting up and that was just the
actual outfit.
Yeah.
I think the one that I would probably like the most would be the Tommy Timberlake one, except for minus the fedora.
I have that written down.
It just looked like the most natural, I feel, like if you're going out. Mm-hmm. The deleted scenes explain that there's a party at the Snake Hole Lounge, and that's why Justin is super early for his date with Leslie, because Tom wants Justin's opinions on what to wear to this Snake Hole Lounge party.
Okay.
And Tom is like, Jay's going to make sure I look toit. And I was like, oh my God, so dumb.
Oh.
Toit. And then Leslie turns to Justin after he says that and is like, what does that mean? So, I think it was more of an alternate scene, not deleted, because there's a fashion montage thing that they do, similar to what Leslie does with Anne.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh my God, it's so funny. And then the whole thing, I don't think this was deleted, where he comes out looking like Michael Jackson and he says sequins.
Yeah. Sequins.
And Justin says, try it without the gloves.
Yep. Sequins minus the gloves. Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the canes. Oh my God.
That's when.
No, we do not need accessories like canes.
No. Not like that. No. And Leslie's look to camera. That's when she loses it. She's like, "Are you freaking kidding me with this?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, what's funny is that this reminded me so I would go to the cigar store with my dad when I was younger, and I still go for my own sake, but I don't know that I've seen any recently, but tobacco stores definitely used to sell those types of canes. I don't know if they were trying to sell a certain lifestyle or whatever, but they used to have the wooden canes with an eagle on top or whatever the fuck. And I was like, oh my God, this is trying to sell maybe, a brand, if you will.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. If you look at early 1900s, cigar clubs, right? Mm-hmm. I picture people in those fancy robes and
oh yeah, totally,
having their cane and their smoking
cigars. which tracks, because Tom wants to be in the cigar club.
Oh yeah, that's right. And then he uses Leslie as a office. Yeah, that's true.
And then he finally smokes it. I didn't realize he had never smoked a cigar, and he's like, I do not like this.
Yeah, maybe try that out.
But then Donna
first.
jumps in too, and she says, I like it about the white leather suit.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that.
And I felt like that to me is the birth of, or the foreshadowing of Tom and Donna binding together through all that fashion stuff and everything.
Yeah, so. I really feel like she came out in this episode way more than we've seen her in previous times too, which is really sweet.
Yeah, still a freaking guest star though.
I know.
Not about it.
Crazy. They probably are well, I don't know. I was going to say maybe they're experimenting with her a little bit. But now that I think about it, I'm not really sure if they're experimenting or if they're just doing what they're doing until they do end up giving her some lines and they're like, oh, we should write more things for her.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a form of experimenting. I don't know.
Yeah. Which is interesting because, I don't know. I would have to go back and actually look because I can't go based on memory, but like everybody in The Office, I don't think they had guest stars like in the second season. I think it was pretty much like everybody was a cast member.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'd have to go back and check that, but I don't know. I mean, because they've made Jerry.
You mean like everybody else besides Donna and Jerry? Like, we're not guest stars?
Yeah, but I'm talking about like The Office. Like, I don't think they listed people like Meredith.
Oh, The Office, the show. I'm
Yeah,
so
yeah.
sorry. I thought you meant The Office in Parks and Rec.
No,
Okay,
no,
got
yeah.
it, got it.
No, because I'm trying to like compare them. Like, did they do the same thing on The Office and they learned like maybe there's people they
Right.
want to take out, so that's why they did it that way?
Yeah, I think by season 2 they were pretty much done. Like, that like infamous boat episode was when Angela found out she was going to be like a full-time cast member, and that was in season 2, right?
Yeah,
So-
that was Booze
So
Cruise.
yeah, I don't know. Apples and oranges, I suppose.
Yeah, but I'm glad they keep them till the end. You know,
Me too.
I'm glad
Me
they
too, me
figured
too,
it
me too.
out.
I know. What a tragic loss that would be if we didn't have Donna and Jerry together.
Oh my gosh, I know. It's ridiculous.
Well, so now they're at this meeting convention thing, and Sweetums is going to take over the concession stands at the park building, which a lot of people are really excited about because it's this new relationship between Sweetums and the parks, and it's our first mention of Sweetums, which I did not realize until I was like really doing the research, and I was like, wait, we haven't really talked about them. I mean, we've talked briefly, but not really, and so yeah, we already geeked out over that.
Yeah.
But something I think is important to mention in the deleted scenes explains kind of why this was such a big deal, because I didn't see it this way. Like, I totally thought, so the concession snack stands and everything at the parks used to be run fully by the parks department. And now Sweetums is not only selling their stuff, like the Nutri-Yums and all their stuff, but they're actually taking over all of the concessions. Like, they'll be running the whole thing, and they're essentially kind of like buying them out almost. Not
Right.
really like buying, but you know what I mean? Like, they are going to have their logo up on all the concession stands and all that stuff. And I don't know, I just like, when I was watching this, I totally thought that they were just going to be selling their stuff at the parks concessions. I didn't think that they were actually running the whole shebang. But that's why it's so important, I feel, because it's like they're not only selling their stuff, but they're really creating this partnership, which makes like the whole corporate versus public thing more of a big deal, which I thought, like, versus the small government, local government situation. So I didn't really understand that until a deleted scene explained that a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I kind of envisioned it that way. They were taking over all the concession stands. The only thing
Yeah.
I would say is like, my question was, do they have enough product to do that?
Yeah, I think they do.
Yeah.
And I don't even think that it needs to, like, concession stands, because I don't think that there even needs to be like hot dogs and hamburgers and stuff at concession stands. They can just be all like the candy bullshit. But they have enough money that if they wanted to do hot dogs and stuff like that, they could 100% just go ahead and get a hot dog machine. You know?
That's so true.
So
You're right.
So I just feel like they're like, whatever, we have all the money and we just want to like run everything for a little bit. So, which at first is great. And then we learn that it's just not as great as it might seem.
Yeah. I want to know what this event is. I'm very confused. Like, did they just throw this whole soiree to like convince people? Or what? Because Leslie's taking stuff at the end. So it's like, it's a Sweetums run thing.
Right, totally. I took it to be more like a Sweetums convention, like they're celebrating, like a celebration moment between parks people or government people, really, and Sweetums. And I
Okay.
also think it's a like a rollout for Nutri-Yums. That's kind of what I was thinking, because it's like new. So it's almost like when Apple or whatever releases a new product, they're like, here's this huge party. Like, we're going to talk about it and have like food and all this buffet and whatever the hell. Which, by the way, they have an open bar like in the middle of the day at a Sweetums event. That is hilarious to me.
Is it the middle of the day though? Because when they're leaving, it's dark outside.
Yeah, I was thinking it started like earlier because they go back and forth between that and The Office. But maybe you're right. Maybe it started after. I don't know.
No, I will tell you right now, I'm very confused by the timeline of this episode.
Yeah.
With that in mind, but also with the fact that while the public forum is going on, they're moving Tom out. So did Anne and Leslie and Ron work on a weekend?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, they could be. I was thinking that the public forum might have been on a Friday. Like,
Could be.
The public forum was on a Friday, and then Tom was moving out by Friday, and that's why, like, it sucked because he's going to have to spend the whole weekend at the office because he can't move into his new place.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I took it as.
Yeah, it's just interesting because maybe I don't know how governments work, but like people left their job halfway through a Friday to help Tom move.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like with parks, though, the parks department is always leaving the office early. Like when Leslie goes to Anne's house to do her stuff.
That's
too.
true.
You
That's
know,
fair.
like
Yeah.
I just feel like it's not like an 8, like they have to be there 8:30 to 5 like a normal job.
Yeah.
You know? Or at least like for this instance, anyways. But
Right.
yeah, I think they would like leave early, or maybe they left like an hour early or something like that.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I can
don't
see
know.
that. So this is how I'll rationalize it in my brain for the Sweetums thing to start.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say the event started at 3. So it makes sense
Yeah.
for everybody else to be at the office. And when Leslie and Ron are leaving, it's dark because it's January, maybe early February because the next episode is Valentine's Day. So
Yeah.
we know that it gets dark earlier. I'm done. I will
No,
not dwell
yeah,
on
that's
it.
what I would. No, I was definitely trying to think about that too. I thought it was in the middle of the day, like the way that it was like bright outside, but it could have started like right after work or something. I don't know, or maybe it would. Maybe the convention was over the weekend. Maybe the convention itself was on like a Saturday or something. I don't know,
Interesting.
but. If you have any thoughts, everyone else listening, let us know. It's not important, but it is interesting to see like all the stuff that they interspersed in it. So, Alan Yang, hello.
Help.
Shed some answers, please. But the fellow who's leading this meeting for Sweetums is named Don McManus in real life. He's been in a bunch of things, including Justified, a show called Sorry for Your Loss, which I've never seen before, but it has Elizabeth Olsen from WandaVision
Nice.
in it.
I like her.
The TV show Mom, which was on for a while, and the movie Vice. Those are just stuff that I recognized, / like looked big, but he's also done a bunch of voice acting as well, which he was nominated for an award. But I knew that I recognized him from somewhere, and this is going to sound so dumb because he's literally in it for like 2 seconds. He's in the movie Under the Tuscan Sun.
Oh.
And it's my mom's favorite movie ever, and like it's our dream one day to go to a villa in Tuscany, which will happen eventually. Totally, my sister and I are like serious about planning it, to take her to like some Tuscan villa and have her live out this dream. But that movie, and it's not a spoiler, like the reason why she goes to Tuscany is because she gets divorced from her husband and because he's cheating on her. And this guy who runs the Sweetums meeting is the one that like kind of passive aggressively says something to her about it at one of her book signings, because she's an author in the book or in the movie. And I was like, oh my God, I think that's why I recognize him, because he literally has like 1 or 2 lines and he's gone within seconds. But I was like, oh, I remember him. So,
That's awesome.
but anyway, so yeah,
That's
I don't
funny.
know what else he's been in.
Because you said he was in Mom, which is Anna Faris's show, which is Chris Pratt's ex-wife. But they were married at the time of the show.
Yeah.
So, interesting crossover.
Also, I don't know, like this is going to be controversy a little bit, but I've been following Chris Pratt on Instagram, and I'm just like not down with his vibes as a person anymore.
Well, I mean, they say it. They say fame changes a person.
I don't know, dude. And like, which is weird because he does all these like charitable things, but like, and I understand. So like, if you follow pop culture at all, like he was kind of blasted like a couple weeks ago or maybe a month ago or something, because he like wrote about his new wife, and he was like very, I don't know, it just came off kind of arrogant, like, get you someone who looks at you like this, and like if she doesn't get a present for Christmas, it's like I'm her present almost, kind of like, and even if I don't do this, she still does this and all this stuff. And I'm just like, and he like claims to be all Christian now. I don't know. I'm totally ranting, and I would still love to talk to him or whatever. And I still really appreciate his talent and his like, character here. But like in real life, sometimes I'm like, when I follow him on Instagram, I'm just like, I don't know. This is weird. I'm not vibing with it as much as I thought I would.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But whatever.
I choose to live in Andy Chris Pratt land.
Yes.
So
yes.
I don't really follow a lot of... I liked him a lot in Guardians of the Galaxy, but I don't really live...
too. He was great in Jurassic World and stuff too. Whatever. But yeah, Andy Chris Pratt is my probably favorite character he's ever done. So it's fine.
That's where I live.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But Leslie is talking with this lollipop in her mouth, which is hilarious because she has this talking head. And she's like, I don't know. It's just really funny. She's like, Sweetums is an institution. And then this guy, the Sweetums guy, is saying that he cares about the health of the customers. And I was like, yeah, right. But I am cracking up at this commercial
it's so
for
good.
Nutrium.
And some other stuff.
Oh my God. And some other stuff. This guy is like smelling apples. He's washing his face in the river with this like beautiful acoustic soothing guitar in the background. And then he's like pimping out the dog Shoelace, which by the way is a phenomenal dog name. Mm-hmm. I love that name so much. But the ingredients are corn, sunshine, and some other stuff.
Sunshine.
A drop of sunshine. That could be a favorite line of mine if I were to choose. But I have one later on. But anyways, this is such a funny way to talk about, like, in real life, what goes into our food. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah. No, it's great. I love it. And I love that, like, Leslie makes a comment, they all look so healthy in their vests. I'm like,
I know,
vests
they're
are
all wearing
healthy?
vests.
Like, since when is that? Okay.
I guess it like signifies being outdoorsy and camping, at least to me. And so they're just being very natural, and being out in nature is healthy. It's so funny.
Oh my gosh.
But all that combined. But Nick Newport Jr. is played by a guy named Gary Weeks, who is a hidden gem I didn't realize. He plays Luke in Outer Banks, if anyone watches that, which I haven't yet. I know I'd really like it. But Charles Esten is the lead in that.
Oh, cool.
Which is a nice crossover. But he also, and I say crossover because couple things. Number one, Nick Newport Jr. also was in one episode of Nashville, the TV show, which Charles Esten was also the lead in. Mm-hmm. And I love that show. If anyone hasn't watched that show, you 100% should. But I think the most funny and interesting thing is that he played one of the cops in Dinner Party of The Office. You can't recognize him. He's not the one with like the mustache, like, and like the one on the, like the main one that I remember. I was like, what? Like, no way. So he's not that one. But I went back and I watched Dinner Party, or like fast forwarded to his area, and I was like, oh my God, that's Nick Newport Jr.
That's so
He's
cool.
the one that says, well, first of all, he looks so different when he's like clean shaven, because I think he has a bit of a stubble as Nick Newport Jr. Or no, he has a bit of a stubble now, currently, in Outer Banks.
Okay.
But anyway, he's like super rugged and handsome, FYI. If anyone wants to look at his IMDb page, I'll list it. But he's also in the upcoming Spider-Man Homecoming movie. Just
I want to see that
fun
so bad.
fact. But anyways, no. So I went back and watched The Office Dinner Party, and he's the one that says, like, you know, you don't have to press charges. You could just be quiet. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, it's so crazy. You guys should definitely go back, or maybe no, I probably won't have time to post a picture of it, but just FYI, keep that in mind when you watch Dinner Party next.
Yes, that's wonderful.
And fun fact, he was born in a U.S. Air Force base in Germany, so that's fun.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. So technically U.S. soil.
Yeah, technically.
I have this comment that Ron references Chuck E. Cheese again.
Oh, yes. I noticed that too.
Yeah. So he's like, you know, the park should be run by a token system. So you can like feed a duck when you use a token and take a walk. I want to know how much time Ron spends at Chuck E. Cheese when he's not at work.
Why does he like it so much?
I don't know. I really don't. It's very interesting because you'd think he'd be like, this is dumb. There's like animated things that
Rats.
walk around, a dude walking around in a mouse costume.
Yeah.
But the other thing I
just think it's the sheer amount of money that they make from that corporation. So he really respects
fair.
that.
That's fair. Also, I just have to say the Sweetums logo is creepy as fuck.
Like the little girl?
Yes.
Yeah.
It looks
it's
like she
a
would
little
wake
baby
up.
Wendy's, except for blonde.
Yeah, but she also looks like she could wake up in the middle of the night and murder you.
Like a Chucky moment.
I get a very Chucky vibe from her. Yeah. So
that's hilarious. Oh my God.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting. And just a reminder, because we looked this up earlier, like in our podcast, but Sweetums, when you Google it, a Muppet comes up. So
oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Just in case people forgot about that.
Which is nuts, because I wonder if Alan Yang knew that. Probably not. I mean, maybe he did. I don't know.
I don't know. That'd be a good question for him.
Yep. We'll ask him. God willing. But I thought that was funny. I mean, because like now the more that I watch it, which we all know, but the more that I watch Parks, the more like analytical I'm being. And that line of Ron is fucking terrifying. Like in real life, if that was like an actual thought process that someone acted upon or the government acted upon, I was like, you're going to charge me to go take a walk? Government? What? So, I mean, which I know that's why it's funny, but I was like,
it's
oh
dystopian for sure.
Yeah. So these kids, Denver and Dakota, I think that those are actually really wonderful names. I really appreciate them. Denver is played by Ryan Hartwig, which, by the way, I totally like. This isn't important at all, but I was like, Denver and Dakota could totally be like gender swapped. Like Denver could have been the girl and Dakota could have been the guy too. Because I know Dakota man names as well. So, but anyways, Denver's played by Ryan Hartwig. Harley Graham is Dakota. And those are their real life names. And they both seem to have a lot of action / like horror movies on IMDb. So I think that's really fascinating. But they're still acting. Haley was in an episode, which she plays Dakota, of The Morning Show, which is that Apple TV show with Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston. She was also in Grey's Anatomy. And she also has a Disney Wikipedia. So she was on a Disney show, which I can't remember which one it was now that I'm thinking about it. But she's definitely still acting.
Cool.
I wanted so badly to find like the handler for Shoelace.
Oh my gosh.
But I couldn't find it, nor did I like dig as deep as I probably could have. But if I find the handler for the pigeons, I'm sure they would leave me a Shoelace or vice versa. Like something has to happen. But anyways, we love Shoelace. He was great.
Amazing.
But yeah, Leslie's now dipping her lollipop into her cocktail. And Ron has scotch. And there's this deleted scene. So I think it's really interesting, or at least it was to me, where like she says what she's drinking. Because when I was looking at it, I was like, it must just be like something sugary and pink. It could have been a Cosmo even. But there's a deleted scene where Leslie says it's a virgin bubblegum martini. And Ron's like, so just bubblegum syrup since it's virgin? And then she asks Ron, like, what flavor's yours? And he says it's scotch. And she's like, butterscotch?
Oh, Leslie, honey.
I think that's so funny.
That's great.
But there are so many deleted scenes here. Like there's a whole candy buffet, like huge bowls of things both wrapped and unwrapped. And there's like, she's scooping, like she has this little tiny plate and she's scooping a bunch of lollipops and Skittle looking things on her plate. And then she thinks it reminds her of Willy Wonka. Like she thinks Sweetums reminds her of Willy Wonka.
Fair.
And Ron says he wasn't super into it because the main character seemed like a pedophile. He was like, I've never seen it. The main character seems like a pedophile.
That's pretty great.
It is pretty great.
Oh, I love it. That's amazing. I love how she just like like this is like not a deleted scene, but when Ron walks up to her, she's just stuffed, like keeps taking stuff and putting it in her bag. And I'm like, I am Leslie in this moment. Like if I was at a place where there was free candy everywhere, you better believe I would have 2 full bags full of candy.
Oh my God. So true. So true. And it seems like, I mean, look, maybe I don't know Sweetums, all the info, but from what I can ascertain from this episode, it does seem like they are more of like a Skittles type candy. Like I don't see a ton of chocolate at this party.
Right. No,
you
you're
know,
completely
I see a lot
right.
of lollipops, Skittle type looking things, hard candies, if you will.
Yeah.
So,
who makes
I would like
Skittles?
to have clarification on that. What'd you say?
Who makes Skittles? Is that just its own company?
I don't know. Let's look that up. Is it Nestle? Skittles.
I'm just trying to think.
It looks like it's its own thing. Oh, by the Wrigley Company, a division of Mars, which is like Mars bars.
Yeah,
Right?
because that was my question. Was like, because Mars. When I think of Mars, I think of Snickers, Milky Way, and those are all chocolates. But Wrigley was a gum company.
Oh,
so
that's
I'm
right.
wondering
That's
if they merged and the Wrigley stuff took up on the sugar, and then Mars just parents everybody, but is like the chocolate.
This is a stupid question, but is that why Wrigley Field is called that?
It was started by the Wrigley family. Yeah.
Got it.
Or I guess funded.
The more you know.
The more you know. This is true.
But yeah. So, well, I'm back at the office now, if you are.
I am, and I love this line from Mark. I fucking hate having a pickup truck.
I know it. I
feel
would
so
too
bad
if
for
this
him.
is all you've been asked to do with it. Ugh.
I know. Well, it's like, how much, I mean, Tom and Mark have had interactions before. It's not like all of a sudden out of the blue, Tom's going to talk to Mark, right? But like, do they have that kind of relationship where Mark wants to take his Saturday to move him out? No. Like,
not like the way that he asks him, or like even a coworker. I feel like that's like sacred ground, not sacred. That was the wrong word. Like weird ground. You know what I mean? To ask this huge favor. Yeah. But
no, I would not ask
really
any
random.
of my coworkers that question.
Yeah, I don't think so. But also, like, Tom has no boundaries / like true care for other people's, like, you know, ideas or what they have to go through to help him. So that's also a thing. But this is really random also. So back in the office, when we're there, Tom opens his windows. Like he's in his office and he pops his those windows out. Like it looks like the wall, like where Jerry is sitting, because Mark is talking to Jerry at the time. And I don't know, have we seen those windows move before?
I don't think we've seen them move.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So I was like, oh, that's interesting that they do that, number one. But number two, this is also just like a tidbit of when I was watching it. I had to rewind it for whatever reason. I think I was trying to look at the scene before or something, but I had to like rewind it 3 times, and I kept getting stuck on when Tom goes, Brandanowitz. And I had that stuck in my head for a while.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, it's not even anything about it.
No,
But
I like his last name a lot. They play with it a lot, like with that. And then one of my favorite lines is when Andy is giving piggyback rides, and he's running, and he goes, Mark Brandanowitz, and like, and he goes all the way. So
yep.
they have
and
fun with his name.
Quits. Oh my gosh.
So.
But yeah, poor little Mark. In this one, he's such an Eeyore. I wrote he's such an Eeyore in this episode, where especially his line of like, really nice of you to compliment my pickup truck with no ulterior motive.
Yeah.
And then because like he just first Tom compliments him and says that's a nice one, but he's always asked to move things, which really sucks. And then sweet little Andy does not even have to be manipulated into doing labor. He's just like, I'm really good at moving. Can I help you?
I know, he's so cute. And then, first of all, I was like, is he shining? Because he has his shining equipment in his hands. But like, April has flats on.
Yeah.
I was like, he's shining her flats? I'm so confused.
Yeah, I don't know. He could be, but doubtful.
But I love this line too. Like, this is one of the ones I also quoted in my notes, like where April. I'm getting all the A names mixed up.
I know.
April came in and she's, I'll help too. And he's like, really, that's weird, because like 10 minutes ago when I asked you, you said you'd rather watch your grandparents have sex or their sex tape or whatever. And this line when Andy looks at her and goes, I think it's really sweet that your grandparents still make love.
I know.
It's so great.
Oh my God. I know. That is so hilarious. He just, sweet little innocence, which takes us back. I mean, we'll talk. Oh, no, wait. Yeah, we haven't gotten there quite yet, but it like this. I love Donna's line of like, what does she say?
You're sweet, but you're simple. Yep. Yeah, I have that one quoted too.
I think that is the telltale / like mojo of him. Yeah, sweet, but you're simple. There is a deleted scene also here. So back at the Sweetums convention thing, Leslie is taking full advantage of these goodies, like we talked about. Her bags are filled so high, but apparently. She asks, so like, what's his name? The guy comes up to her, and the Sweetums guy comes up to her and says, like, I'm really glad that we're doing this, partnership with the Parks Department and everything. And she's like, can I take some of the product home just strictly for research purposes? Like, just for research. I just need to make sure that I know exactly what's like going to be sold at the parks. And he was like, would you like some free samples? And she was like, free samples, free samples, free samples. And she does this whole like jumping up and down thing. And that's what those bags truly are. Like, they're, yes, they are stuff like that the Sweetums people are offering, but they're mostly free samples, like directly from him. So I think amazing. That's really, he probably got like, or she probably got more stuff than what was put out at the bar. At least that's what I am telling myself.
That's fair. That's cool.
So
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
And then Ron has had like 800 whiskeys because apparently there is an open bar at this event.
I know. Weird. It's like a work.
For a candy company.
Exactly. And this alcohol chart, I looked it up. It does exist. This alcohol chart. I don't know why she asks for his height though, because all of them that I found, none of them ask for height. It's all weight based.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay.
So, and she doesn't really ask, right? She's like, you're 6'1" and or 5'11" or whatever she says, and then she's like, and you weigh 160 pounds, and so, but it's like one more, he would have been legally intoxicated if he had one more.
Okay.
Drink.
Yeah, it's like 6'1", 210 or something, and then 210 pounds, and then he's like nodding along. He's like, yep, okay, that sounds about right, whatever.
Yeah, but it's interesting. It's like a color-coded chart of like, if you've had this many, like you're still good. This one, like you're gonna be inebriated, you're gonna be impacted by the alcohol you've had, but you're not like at 0.08. But then like the next one, you would be. So,
and is he, you said it's just by weight? It's not by height?
No, it's just weight. It goes weight and then how many drinks you've had. Which, this is my other thing. Liquor and beer hit different. So, but there was no indication of what you had drank. It was just how many drinks have you had.
Did it have a year on there or anything of like when this last was updated?
That's a great question. Let me look. I have it still in my search history because I don't use my internet on my phone very often.
Yeah. I just wonder also because there's like a bunch of different factors too where like what if you've eaten something, like if you've eaten a big sandwich and you've had 2 or 3 beers,
right,
and,
or
like,
eaten
you might
nothing.
be okay.
Right.
Yeah. But like also, I mean the point is if you feel like you are tipsy or have any sort of like impairment, then But I guess this is more of a scientific like, mathematical equation.
It also distinguishes between male and female, which I didn't know before. But
Maybe
there's
it's,
no
like,
year.
Muscle mass or something.
Yeah. This one's from the California DMV. This one's from Business Insider. It looks they look almost exactly the same.
Yeah. I think it's funny that she's just carrying this around with her. She just has it at all times.
It's so Leslie though, like to be careful like that, Like,
and then it has blackjack tips on the back.
yeah, which I love. Which she's so confused at the end when she's reading it on his car.
Oh my God. Can I say when she's sitting on top of his car blocking him from leaving and she was reading those things, I could not understand a word of what she was saying. I was like, I don't understand anything you're talking about blackjack. This makes no sense. All those like lingo and verbiage that is describing poker and stuff. I was like, nope, I don't know what that means.
Well, because this is what I've learned. Like, I haven't played a lot of blackjack in Vegas, but I played once. And I told them, like, it's my first time playing at a real table. But I think there's more rules. Like, there can be bigger ways. Like, if you get to an actual, like, one of those really classy lounges, I think it's more complex than just the 21 situation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I bet it is. I mean, it seems like very strategic of a game. So, I mean, most gambling card games are, but
I like the easy version.
Yeah, I know, seriously. Okay, I busted. Next. But yeah, so Ron is saying Swansons have a high tolerance and that his dad used to put wild turkey on his cornflakes, which is amazing and wild, and explains a lot of why Ron is the way that he is. So I thought that was really funny. And then we're at the next morning, which are you at the next morning? Yeah,
I am. My next note is that, like, he feels so vindicated, right? He's like, look, I can do this. I went and drank more, and I built this harp, which sounds more like an omnichord, if anybody knows the difference.
Ooh, okay.
So I don't know what type of strings he used on it. But he feels so vindicated, and Leslie regrets nothing. Like, that's so nice.
It goes right over her head. I don't even know if she's trying to, like, understand the point he's making. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be one thing if she was like, oh, okay, cool, like, but I'm still glad I did it.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't get, maybe that is the vibe that she was going for, but to me it just seemed like she was like, yeah, that's really sweet, that's nice that you did that.
For you. Good job.
But I did take a deep dive on this. So he says that he drank 6 more whiskeys and then he went home and did this. He took a picture of himself with the newspaper dated for last night so that he can prove that it was last night. Also, funny thing, Leslie says she watched a documentary last night. When Ron says, like, how was your night? There is a deleted scene. Do you want to know what the documentary was about? She watched a documentary about chipmunks, and it's called Chipmunks, Nature's Squirrels.
What?
And I was like, aren't
squirrels
nature's squirrels?
I like that we had the
I
same
was
thought.
like, what? But anyway, so that's the first thing. And the second thing is they made an alternate Ron moment where he makes 3 wooden recorders instead of the harp. And there are pictures of that as well. And he names like more machinery that he used. And she's like, those are beautiful, Ron. Thanks so much for making one for me. Because he brings 3 and she just takes one. And both were good, but I think the harp was definitely bigger and seemed more complex. So it probably like proved the point even more.
Right.
But then this other deleted scene, like right after that, says he's never been this annoyed with Leslie before, and he breaks his recorder. He's like, oh my gosh, I need something to calm me down. And he tries to play the recorder, and then he ends up snapping it. And he's like, okay, I feel a little better. but which I think that was really interesting. I like the recorder idea as well. It was like these beautiful, well-crafted recorders. But the deep dive that I did was on the machinery that he used, because I have never heard of those things before. And if you are a woodsworkman, you know what I'm talking about. If you are a woodsman, if you are like Ron, you probably know these. But I looked up bandsaw, spoke shave, oscillating spindle sander. Those are the 3 things that he says he used to make these to make this harp. A bandsaw is used mostly for cutting moldings and really irregular shapes, which makes sense because the harp is such a strange shape, I feel. But it's a spinning blade, so it's like one of those ones that you'd find in a big wood shop, kind of like desktop thing. And then a spoke shave is a smaller tool that kind of looks like a plier, like it's more small and like handheld kind of thing. And it's used to smooth woods, apparently, which is interesting. It's kind of like a sander, but not quite. And the internet gave a couple different things that you would use a spoke shave on, and it says arrows, bows, and paddles, which are all things Ron would make.
Yep.
Like every
Very
single
true.
one of those. So all of that tracks. And then an oscillating spindle sander, which is a sander. Obviously, it's in the word, but it's a big machine that smooths out the wood. So I think that you start with the spoke shave and then you go to the oscillating spindle sander. And that's more of like a huge standing thing. I think it can be on a table, but it's more of like a heavy machinery situation. I understand it's basically just proving that Ron operated seriously heavy machinery, which is equivalent to operating a car.
Right.
But I just thought that was really interesting to look up all of those different tools. And also I want to know where that harp came from. Who made that and where did they get it? Was it just in the props department? I need to know.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to know. I wonder if they just went and bought one or rented one.
Yeah. Because it looks beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
Maybe he made it. Maybe he really did make it at some point.
He does actually do a lot of woodwork, so yeah, he could have. They could have been like, "Hey, man, we need a harp for the next episode. You got time to make one?" He's like,
"Yeah,
of course
seriously."
I do.
Or maybe he had a random one in his wood shop already. I don't know, but yeah, it just goes right over Leslie's head though, and she's like, "I feel like I'm in a spa."
Yeah, I think my big thing here is like, I understand, Ron. I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, when you were operating that machinery, you weren't putting other lives in danger. And when you're driving a car and you make that choice, you're not only thinking about what could happen to you, like you could run into other people, other families and stuff like that.
That's a great point. That is a great point. That's true. Don't drive drunk, you guys.
Don't do it.
Just get an Uber. Just get a Lyft. Come on. And if you're in a smaller town, then don't go.
Yeah. I don't know. If
wait, just sit there for like 4 hours or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
have a DD.
That's true too. There's lots of options, you guys. Come on.
Yeah.
But so Leslie hears that Tom's moving out and says that, asks Tom, like, have you told Wendy how you feel yet? You should tell her. And he's like, no, whatever.
Now's not the time. And she's like, yeah, like now is the accurate
he's
time
like,
you should be doing this.
I'm waiting till the right time. And she's like, now is the time.
Yeah.
And it's true. But yeah, he just doesn't know how to do it yet. / he doesn't I don't think he's confident enough yet either. I don't know. He's just not feeling it.
Yeah. Well, and it's a big step.
This is
like if you're friends with somebody,
you know,
what? If you're friends with someone, which they've been friends all this time, I think it makes it harder because you, and I mean, I'm speaking from like my experience with Ivan, like the courage it takes to step up and say that because you're like, if it goes downhill, I'm also losing my friend. Like I can understand where he's like, I don't want to touch this yet.
See, now this is where I have questions because to me they don't seem like friends. They seem like acquaintances and roommates, and that's it.
Okay.
Because every interaction that I've had or I've seen with, as if I'm part of their lives, every interaction that I have seen with Tom and Wendy, I'm always like, they're like, you don't act like you're friends. You act like you have a business arrangement, and then you occasionally make jokes and maybe watch a movie here and there. But like you don't have like a friendship where you're like honest or like hanging out all the time. Like, I don't know, it just seems so awkward, and Wendy is clearly in it for this like agreement, and it doesn't seem like she's BFFs. It'd be one thing if they were like super close and like, oh my gosh, she's my best friend, but they don't even act like that, you know?
Yeah, you're right. You're very right.
So I don't know. I really struggle with that. But I still see and agree with you about like it has been 2 full years, which is wild. So like to cross that line when like you both knew that this was a purely green card marriage is that takes a lot of guts.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm still with Leslie. I'm like, if you're going to say something, like probably do it before you move out.
100%. No, 100%. Because at this point, like, if you move out or like once this is final, you're probably not going to see each other again, truthfully. Because like she's a busy surgeon, and I don't see them planning to hang out again.
Their goals aren't the same. It never would have worked anyway because their goals are very different.
True. Very true.
So,
but anyway, yeah. So this is when the Sleazy Tom moment starts, where we want to punch him a little bit because Mark asks, like, have you got dollies or like supplies to actually move? And Tom is like, I thought the mover supplied those. Oh, and bring some coffee. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to hunt you down and punch you in the head.
Yeah. No,
if I ever said that to one of my coworkers, I don't know how I would ever live with myself or how they would ever forgive me.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, and as somebody who's like moved 500 million times in their life, like it's not an easy feat. Like it takes hours, and
especially with all his bullshit he's got in his house.
Well, and like, I mean, we can touch on this in a little bit, but like if people are coming to help you move, you're prepared.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. He just has no shame.
On that later. But, there's this one thing I wanted to say, because when Leslie's walking away from Ron, when they first get back to the office the next morning, you see the little temperature thing for the money for the park.
Oh,
It keeps moving up.
Oh, wow. Good catch.
And I'm like, I'm really intrigued by how are they making that money? Like, are they having people come in and donate? Are they doing fundraisers? Because I feel like if they're doing fundraisers, they would make an episode about one of them or something. So I would be very intrigued as to how over all this time they're saving the money for it.
Interesting. Yeah, good catch. Maybe it's like donations could be coming in. Like I'm sure they've got like a donate button, or like maybe they've got something like within the parks that have signs or something. But yeah, that's solid. Interesting. That's great that it's moving up.
Yeah, I know.
But then now we are at where Leslie is sharing these Nutri-Yums with everyone in the office. They're in the conference room. And a part of me wonders if this is a bit of a spoof on Nutri-Grain bars. Because Nutri-Yum, Nutri-Grain.
Yeah, maybe.
And I mean, Nutri-Grains are not nearly as unhealthy as what sounds like is in Nutri-Yums, but and maybe it perhaps could just be like they got the idea of nutrition, like the first part of that word being for Nutri-Yums. But I just thought that was interesting. And then Jerry gets like super sassy. I've never seen Jerry this sassy before. When she's like, April says that it's like really good, and he's like, it's more than amazing, it's terrific, and she's like, amazing isn't more than terrific, or whatever. Terrific isn't more than amazing. And I'm like, oh my God, Jerry gets serious when his food is, threatened.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he does. Yeah.
And then Donna says they make candy fingernails. I want those.
Gross.
What are they made of? Because I want them.
I'm sure it's kind of like a candy necklace.
Oh, maybe.
Like maybe they're like gummies and they like stick on maybe.
Yeah. Oh my God. That is so hilarious. I want them.
Interesting.
And then Andy says that crackle bars are like, oh, go ahead. What?
I was just going to say, you could say stay fed all day. Like you just put fingernails on in the morning when you get snacky.
Yep. I know. I would wonder how they're like glued on. That'd be gross.
Yeah.
Maybe that's like, I don't know. Somebody needs to invent them or look and see if they're real.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're like, ooh, you know what I'm imagining? I'm imagining like the, oh my God, what are those chips that you like stick on your finger? What's that? Which one?
Funyuns. Is that what they are?
Funyuns. Or no. Pringles? No. Shit. I thought it was the
Bang Bugle.
Oh, yes, it's something like that. Oh, God.
Hold on.
Ah!
I got this.
It's Funyuns are the like onion shaped rings.
You're right.
And you might be right though.
Don't Google
Bugles. You're right. It's Bugles.
Oh, okay. Don't Google fingernail chips.
Ew! Is that a thing?
Somebody made a Lay's bag.
Ew! A Lay's bag that has fingernails like on the picture. That's gross. No.
Okay.
Oh my God, no. Listener, sorry you're having to go through this deep dive with us. But yes, Bugles. Oh my God, ew. This is not ew. This is just stupid. Okay, so what I Googled is chips that you put on your fingers. That's how Bugles came up. And there is this thing, a finger food utensil where it's like a plastic thing that you put on your forefinger and your thumb so that you don't get like Cheeto dust or chip dust on your fingers. And I'm like, you guys, what the fuck? Use a napkin. Lick it off. If you're not in COVID times or like if you're just at home by yourself, clean hands. Oh my God. Anyways, excessive. Very excessive. So that's what I was thinking of. That could be what the candy fingernails are, like the Bugles. Oh my God. That was hilarious. Okay. Whew.
Could be.
Anyways, so then Andy is thinking that crackle bars are healthy because he's like, yeah, they have rice in them, so they're healthy. And that's when Donna says her line of, Andy, you're sweet, but you're simple.
I have it written down. It's you're fine, but you're simple.
Oh, you're fine, but you're simple.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So I have this thing with Anne coming in and everybody being crazy, right? And Leslie comes out and she's all hyper. April is sitting at her desk, like doing work. Like she seems fine. But then you go into the conference room and they have the music going on and April's in there crazy dancing with everybody.
Yeah.
So that was interesting to me.
Yeah, I think that when April's at her desk, it almost seems like she's just like moving really fast, like faster than she would. Which would be like her hype up because she obviously doesn't move at all when she's working.
Right.
So then when she like hears the music, she's just like, okay, let's go dance now.
We got this. Yeah.
But I love this because Leslie's like, yeah, they're really healthy. And Anne's like reading the ingredients and she's like, no, they're not. They are all just high fructose corn syrup. That's all it is. And yeah, they're all dancing to this like EDM beat. And this is so random, but I clocked the screensaver on Tom's desk. And I don't know if you remember, like, did you ever have a desktop, like in a desktop computer in your home? Yeah. Yeah, where the screensaver is like those squiggly lines from like the late 90s, early 2000s. And they kind of like contort into all these different shapes. And it's like these neon shapes of squiggly lines. And I guess it lasted into the 2010s because he's using it, but it just brought me back to like my hometown AOL desktop starter thing. But oh my God. Also, if we would pick, maybe that can be another like thing that we do in addition to favorite line, it can be favorite talking head because this talking head of Anne's is one of my most favorite when she's describing the kids and how obese they are and that they're like the fourth most obese city in America and they're chunk monsters.
Call them like I see them.
I call them like I see them because it is really harsh and she understands that as she says, you know, I call them like I see them. Yeah. Because she doesn't want to get involved, but then I feel like she thinks she has to say something because of how awful they are.
Yeah. Accurate.
And then she's spraying Leslie with the spray bottle because everyone's crashing from the sugar high. Yeah. Oh, it's so funny. I love that.
Which there's more spray bottles because that's what they do to Dwight in The Office.
Oh yeah, with his concussion.
Yeah.
So, that is so funny.
I did a deep dive because I was intrigued.
Yes.
On who the top 4 actually obese cities are
in the United States.
So I have two sources because they were relatively the same, but I had a couple differences. So the first one I had was McAllen, Texas was number 1.
Okay.
Memphis, Tennessee was number 2.
No way! Makes sense.
Yeah. Baton Rouge, Louisiana was number 3. Little Rock, Arkansas, 4. And Shreveport, Louisiana is 5.
Oh my God. They're all in the South.
Nashville is 20.
Again,
I wasn't gonna note it until I saw like it was within the top 20. So this makes sense because my family is from the South. Like the cooking is all like butter
and all,
sugar,
as Paula Dean says.
And so actually all the top 20 cities were either from the states of Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Oklahoma, Georgia, South Carolina, and Kansas.
Oh my God, literally all south of the Mason-Dixie line.
So, which is not surprising.
No, because you add sugar in literally everything. My corn pudding that I'm so proud of that my mom makes, like it's a savory dish, but it has like a cup of sugar in it. Come on.
Yeah.
I completely understand this. And also, if we're going to get political about it, which this is Parks, I'm sorry, but a lot of southern states do not have the resources to have, good quality health care or quality food sources, and they are most of the time lower income, meaning that organic and resources for those types of like health programs to talk about that in schools and whatever are not relevant or prevalent at all. So I mean, there's that too.
Yeah, very accurate. El Paso, Texas is the highest with diabetes.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. Two cities that were left out on my first source, but were in the top 5 in my second source are Jackson, Mississippi, and Mobile, Alabama.
Which one? What was the last one?
Mobile.
Oh,
Alabama.
Mobile. Okay,
Mobile.
yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No. I didn't know how to pronounce that either. A couple people are from there. Are from there that I work with. Or maybe that was only one person. Regardless, Mobile. Yeah, weird. I mean, not weird, but yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for looking that up. I think that's really insightful.
Yeah, I was intrigued by it because, yeah, I just feel like it's hard if you don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know? But and you're all like, I mean, I think it's a pretty family thing, but especially in Southern cultures to pass down recipes.
Yeah.
You know, and nobody's really like my grandma used to cook like that all the time. And then my uncle became vegan and super, super in on his health. And so he's been like advising her how she can swap things out to make it healthier.
Yeah.
And she and my grandpa look really healthy now. But like they never would have changed that if they weren't told what the benefits were.
Right. Well, and, off of that, too, there's the flip side where so many people, especially down here, I feel, just speaking from experience for my family, they are so clingy to their traditions. And if the tradition is not the same as what they were raised as or what their mom or grandma or whoever did, they get really offended. Or they get really like confused as if they don't know that they can change things. You know what I mean? And it's like some feat of engineering to change, even just a tiny bit of thing. Like instead of adding a whole cup of sugar, you add maybe 3/4 or half a cup or something. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or you put in agave or whatever the fuck instead of regular sugar. So like, I mean, I remember when like whole wheat flour was like all the rage and like lean cuisines and stuff like that, and people would be like, it was a trend for sure, but people were like, "Oh, was that like, why?" You know what I mean? So yeah, it's kind of like when Leslie at the women's conference award things in London, where she's like, they cling to their fried dough. That's really true in so many areas. So. Yeah. I think that's really, that's important to mention too. And also just like all the fast food restaurants here as well. And just the way things are cooked here in such butter and oil. It really is.
But it's also the U.S. lifestyle, like, because if you look
at
other countries don't value work as high as we do. And so people like, I don't know about you, but like if I can put in an extra 5 hours and get paid more so I can pay my bills, like I will work the extra 5 hours, but then I'm taking out the possibility of me making dinner. Right.
Yeah.
And people,
that's true.
Yeah. So people like do lean cuisines or they do the takeout because that's faster and they can get more hours into work.
Yes.
And it's just not healthy. Like Europe gets so much more vacation than we get. It's ridiculous. And they get, I think they just
Right.
They care more about what they're putting in their body and stuff too.
Right.
And,
Well, and yeah, I mean, going off of that too, like there's so many things that add to obesity. It's not just food. It's your health patterns. It's your stress patterns. It's your sleep patterns. It's everything, like as a holistic view, which I think that we don't really do. We're just like, oh, take out fast food, the end. You know what I mean? Which like it, is a big deal, sure, but it's definitely like we have a lot more stress, I think, than a lot of people. And like the timing is a big deal, like what you just said about like it's easier and cheaper to potentially go through a drive-through and get like, $20 for 5 people as opposed to like making your own meal at home. Which I think is great that this like these new things of like HelloFresh and all that kind of stuff is coming out now so that you can kind of like be healthy but also create family time. And I think quarantine, quite honestly, might have helped with some people like not going out as much, like and getting that much. I mean, obviously the quarantine 15 was real. So like there was that, but you know what I mean? Like just thinking about your lifestyle a little bit differently. So yeah, it's a big deal. Health is so complex.
Yeah, it really is.
But I do
so
love
many
barbecue,
facets.
so it's fine. Which you can love barbecue, it's all good. We're not trying to cut anything out or limit ourselves.
No, well,
We're
it's like
just
everything
in moderation.
Yeah, in moderation. Like I feel like I'm pretty health conscious. But did I go to Walmart and buy a giant ass cookie with frosting on it to have with ice cream and leave in my house for me to eat for the next week? Yeah, I did. But I'm not eating the whole cookie today, and I'm not eating, bad things for me every meal.
I also think in Europe, and this is the last thing I'll say before we move on, I guess, but like in Europe and other, like even Asian, like whatever, and a bunch of other different cultures, like walking and, being outside is a little bit more a part of the culture, or like transportation wise, like we just sit our butts in our car for so long as opposed to like walking to the next destination, because that's just how our systems in our cities are built kind of thing. We don't have public transportation where like, as in Boston, you would walk everywhere and you would get in your exercise that way almost, So, and I also found, what's that?
I miss my lifestyle in Boston sometimes.
Me too. 100%. And it's a little bit cheaper too, because you're not paying car insurance and whatever.
And gas.
And gas, yeah. But I remember when I was in Athens, like I also saw, and just in a lot of like European countries and even in Asia and wherever, like a lot of older people seem to be out and about walking. It wasn't just like the younger generation. It was like I saw a lot of elderly people actually still out and about and like being active. And by active, I don't even mean like running marathons. I just mean like moving. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a whole thing. But yeah, that's really fascinating. So we'll keep in touch with the, I wonder how often that is like censused, if you will,
Yeah. That was from 2021.
Okay.
So
interesting. Yeah. And they probably get it from like doctor's offices and stuff.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Would have to be. Anyway.
Yeah. So now they're going to the library. Are you there?
Yep.
Okay. And this is one of the best scenes in the whole world. I love this so much. So Leslie obviously hates the library for reasons untold. But the librarian at the front desk is so nasty. And guess what? She messaged us back. Yay. She is one of our lovely guest stars who is so, so lovely and wonderful and so on it in responding to, my questions and everything. But I love the way that she reacts. Like all her facial expressions were so good. I just thought it was so funny, saying that Parks people can't read also, and that and that Leslie has a book about the female orgasm super loudly, which is like super out of character for a librarian, but she doesn't like Leslie that much,
right?
And then Leslie steals the movies and knocks over that cart or whatever. But so anyways, this librarian, her name is Brooke Balmer. She actually comes back in a couple episodes for Ron and Tammy 2 and Ron and Jammy. And I think she's in one other one, but I don't know if she was credited or not, but she's in a bunch of stuff as well. Fresh Off the Boat, a few other things. But she sent some very sweet voice messages. I asked her what it was like to audition, and then she told me a little bit about the fun run / like improv moments, and these are gold. And I'm going to try... I tried doing this before I got on today, and I think it might work, but I think it might not. So there's a way you can share the sound via Zoom. So I'm going to see if I can do that.
Okay.
Because I can screen share. And then if I screen share, I can share the sound. But since I have headphones in, I don't know if it'll do it. So let me just see if I can. Oh, no, wait. It's this one. So I go on here.
I actually auditioned for Parks and Recreation multiple times. I don't specifically remember the audition for Marcy, but I just remember being off the charts excited when my agent called to let me know that I had booked this part because it was such a hilarious scene.
Okay, awesome. I'm glad I found that out. Okay, this is how. This is her on-set memory.
Working with Amy Poehler was an absolute dream come true. She is the perfect partner to have fun with in a scene. She wants to laugh. She wants to make it as funny as possible. And I will also say Rashida Jones was just as wonderful. But one particular memory that really sticks out to me was we had done the scene about 6 or 7 times. We had got it in the can, but now Amy just wanted to play. And so she turned to the director and said, hey, this next one, let's just improv it. And she looked at me and she goes, is that all right? And I said, perfect. And so we started the scene again, and there's the line where Leslie says to Marcy, oh, how does it feel to work in a job that's almost obsolete? So when we did the improv version, Amy said, hey, Marcy, how do you feel about the Kindle? And in that moment, my mind just went blank. I thought to myself, Kindle? What's a Kindle? I have no idea what a Kindle is. And what seemed to me to be about 3 minutes of silence probably was only about a second, but I was frantically trying to think of, oh my God, I'm going to kill this scene in this improv moment because I don't know what a Kindle is. And I remember my reaction was, Leslie, that's a low blow. And they called cut, and she looked at me, she goes, oh my gosh, that was so funny. That was such a great response. And I thought to myself, if you only knew, I couldn't think of what a Kindle was. And at that very moment, it dawned on me, oh yes, the electronic books. I remember just feeling so threatened that I had ruined the scene somehow, and sure enough, I didn't.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's really cool.
I know. I thought that was so wonderful. Especially like when she says also like, I thought I had ruined it and I like didn't. And then it just, again, it makes me really think about how gracious Amy Poehler is as well to be like, oh my God, that was so funny.
Yeah.
And just another thing too, like with improv in general as well, like when you're thinking about it and how like you think you might have ruined it, but you were just playing the truth of the scene. So it ended up being fine anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyways, but thank you, Brooke. That was so cool. I actually also asked her if like maybe later on when we review other episodes that she's been in, if she would want to come on and review a show with us. And she said she'd be totally down. So
That's
I'm
awesome.
probably going to have her come on when we get there, which I don't think we're too far off. I think Ron and Tammy 2 is probably next season. So
Season 3.
Yeah.
I think.
So anyways, so we're there. And so thank you again, Brooke. We will send you a message when we get to your scenes and let us know if you have any other things that you want to talk to us about. But yeah, we're super grateful. I was so excited. But anyway, so Leslie and Ron are now meeting with the city planner. Or Maddie, did you have anything else to say about the library?
No.
Okay. But yeah, so we're now meeting with the city planner, Paul, to confirm that Parks is good to go to have Sweetums at the park concessions or taking over the park concessions. And Leslie's kind of backing down now because of the health problems that she thinks it might cause. And she keeps calling for sidebars with Ron and Paul.
Which my thing is, why does Ron even bring her places sometimes?
I think it's so funny though when when she asks Paul to have a sidebar and he's just like, no.
No.
I laughed out loud at that part.
Paul does not care.
Right. And then, but yeah, Ron is like, I think it should be the people's right to eat whatever they want. And Leslie, you know, thinks that we should protect our citizens, which is just an age-old problem in government. And I did message Paul, a reminder that his name is Phil Reeves. He was also in The Office and Veep and a bunch of other amazing things. So I've messaged him and hopefully he will get back to us. But this is when Leslie is like, we should probably have a public forum time, you know, to just like make sure that our everything's good. And he's like, Paul's like, yeah, that's a good cover our ass type of move. So he literally says that. And Ron is so grouchy. This is when his assholery starts, because Ron is an asshole in this episode as well.
Yeah,
for a brief moment.
And it like Leslie lays it out to Paul. He's like, well, he's just upset because I wouldn't let him drive.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I mean, he's annoyed as well. This is adding on to it because he doesn't think that government should be interfering in this. And
Right.
Leslie's just like, I want to look after the citizens. But anyway, so, and I'm not saying that Ron is on any sort of asshole level as Tom by any means. Just want to make that clear. But
Oh, yeah, because we're about to find out what kind of asshole Tom is.
oh my God, yes, exactly. We're here at Tom's and Wendy's house. I hate him even more. He hasn't even folded up the fucking boxes. He also misled them and said it was odds and ends when really it was the entire effing house. Literally all of it.
And again, it takes hours upon hours to put the things in the boxes, let alone carry the boxes to the truck and have the truck go to the new place and then unload. Like that, it's awful. Like I can't, like I would have walked away. The second I walked into his closet, I would have turned around.
Which, speaking of his closet, he converted another room into his closet, which I think is hilarious. That closet's dope. I want that closet.
It is dope. It's very organized too.
Very organized. He takes his organization of his dope-ass clothings and suits and everything. Also, there's a deleted scene where one is a Bowflex and then one is a solo flex. The one that we see in the actual episode is called a solo flex, and then there's a Bowflex against the wall on the other side of it. And Andy's like, have you ever used both at the same time? And he was like, yes.
That's funny.
And then we see that he has the movie Deep Blue Sea, the Canadian version, apparently, which I guess maybe is a nod to Wendy, but I don't think so. I think that he just has a bunch of them. But I researched this because I've never seen this movie. Have you seen this movie? Oh my God. I looked this up and I didn't watch it, but it was a late 90s movie and it's like about this research team taking DNA from sharks to try to cure Alzheimer's, which is wild. I know. But then like shit hits the fan obviously and the sharks go crazy and Samuel L. Jackson is in it as well as
Already
LL
worth
Cool
seeing.
J. Already worth seeing. I was like, what the fuck? What a pair. But I had never heard of that movie nor have I seen it. So that might have to go on my movie list. But yeah. And then this is our first appearance of DJ Roomba.
Yes. Which this had to have taken some effort on Tom's part because how do you make it so that the remote controls both the Roomba and the speakers?
Yeah.
So
had to do something.
Yeah. This is
I don't
before
know.
Bluetooth.
Or do you maybe just press a button on the Roomba and then the remote is just for the Apple? I don't know.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know.
I really don't know because my dad has a Roomba, but I've only ever watched it like one time, so I don't actually know like how it all works. Like, is there a remote to it, or do you just press a button? I don't know.
I just press a button on mine, but I have it Bluetooth to my phone. But I don't know if Bluetooth was a thing then,
Back then.
because that speaker that he has, the iPod sits in it.
Right. I do remember those, like the iPod docks. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I really love this DJ Roomba. We definitely see him more, so that is super exciting. Also, Andy, I have to say, looks so sweaty still, even before the movie.
Yeah.
I don't understand why he's always so sweaty.
He's just in a perpetual state of sweat.
Yeah. And Mark is so over it. Oh, you can see his face and how disappointed and just like freaking upset he is, which I would totally understand.
I don't know why he doesn't leave. Like, honestly, like, I love you, Mark, and I think, you're doing a nice thing, but at the same time, like, I don't know, maybe I've changed, but like my weekends are sacred. So I'm like, if I have free time to not be working, like, obviously, if you came to me and you said, Maddie, I need help moving, I need help putting the stuff in the boxes and stuff too, I would be like, hell yeah, I'm there. I'm helping you. I don't
then
care.
you're prepared for that.
Right. But it's also different because we're not acquaintances. We're not like coworkers who just hang out when we have to go to a dinner because Tom's getting divorced, like, it's like you're a close friend. I would do it for you. But like, you show up and the job is so much bigger. I would have been like, all right, I'm going out to eat. I'll leave the pickup truck here. You can load it up and I will be back.
Yeah, totally. Oh my God, so dumb. Also, I have to say, I ordered or hired a moving company the last time I moved. Best money I've ever spent in my entire life. It was the easiest thing I've ever done. And I mean, I am by myself. So like, I'm sure I could have asked my friends, and I've had friends that have asked me to move and everything like that, or help them move. But oh my God, I was just like, took a couple of hours and they loaded it all themselves. I didn't have to do anything. I had to like put maybe like my laundry basket or something in my car, and obviously my cats. But I was like, this is so worth it, especially if you've got furniture. Oh, fuck the noise if you are trying to move like a couch or your bed or whatever. Like, give that to some professionals. I can't.
We moved in the same apartment complex. We moved from a 3rd floor apartment down a hill to a 2nd floor apartment. And we were like, we don't need help because we're literally going maybe 100 yards.
Yeah.
Yes, we needed help. Like getting the couch down. It was a hot mess. So like we made a pact together that the next time we move, we're not doing it.
Yeah. No. I know. You always think it's going to be easier than it is. And then it just ends up being so much more than you thought. And you're just like, this is so not worth it. And moving, like we looked at or heard on Leslie's list of stressful things, is one of the things
That's
to
true.
be stressed about. And I don't have time for it. I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
It was so worth it. So highly recommend that if anyone's moving. If you've got the means, you can find I found like a local person that was cheaper than like a corporate moving company. So like if you've got that, totally worth it.
Yeah.
But anyways, so now we're at the public forum, and Anne is explaining how unhealthy these bars are. And there is a cutscene, which this is my actual favorite line, which I think is funny because it is a deleted scene, but I'm sorry, I'm going to introduce it to you guys, and I'm going to use it because it actually is. But Leslie says, "This is Anne. I'd like to introduce you to Anne Nerkins, a respected a respected nurse. She is as wise as Dr. Phil and as beautiful as Dr. Drew."
Nice.
And then Ron says, "But okay, she's not an actual doctor." And Leslie's like, "Yes, that is true. But as we all know from TV and movies, nurses know better than doctors." So I don't know. I think I don't know if I'll have to choose one sentence or I don't know. But that whole interaction, the Dr. Phil, Dr. Drew thing, and the nurses know better than doctors, that is my actual favorite of this whole episode.
I love it.
And I'm so sad they cut it.
Oh, yeah. No, that's pretty great. I love that. Because that's the thing is like we kind of just, in the episode, we just show up at the forum and we don't really know. Like, if we didn't watch the show, I mean, obviously, if we're like living in Pawnee, we don't know who Anne is.
Right, exactly.
So,
yeah. I also really like, I know this is random, but I really like her sweater that she's wearing. I would totally wear it. That's like gray and white sweater moment. I think it's really cute.
Yeah. Anne, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Anne.
yeah. I like a lot of Anne stuff.
Me too. Yeah. And I also really love this chart behind Anne. I think it's so cool. I took a picture of it. It's explaining what most health bars have, like versus what Nutri-Yum bars have. And so I took a picture of it, and some of the health bar ingredients are dried fruit, nuts, juice, and oil. And Nutri-Yum is literally corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, modifiers, and corn oil. So it's basically just like corn and sugar. And like substitutes for foods.
Right. Oh, gosh.
Oh, God.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.
Hey, everybody. Sorry if that was a little bit abrupt of an ending, but that's where we're going to leave part 1. So I am coming back on here just to let you guys know that that's what's happening. We're going to have part 2 next week. But I also have a little bit of a game / challenge maybe / bribe perhaps. I really want to release part 2. Okay, here's the deal. I want to release part 2. And I honestly, I would have had a near 3-hour, part 1 or full episode if it was up to me. But at the same time, I kind of want to experiment with this. And I did think a 3-hour podcast might be a tiny bit too long, right? So here's the deal. So if I see that there is... and as I'm saying that, it sounds like a mom being like, if I see a clean room, you can have a candy. No, this is stupid. I'm so sorry. Anyways, no, if I see, in all seriousness, if I see a new podcast review, I will upload it early. I will upload part 2 early. If I see a new podcast review on Apple Podcasts, or one of 2 things, or I get 3 messages either on our Instagram, Park Pals Podcast, in our email, parkpalspodcast@gmail.com, or however else you want to reach out to me. If I get at least 3 people saying, yeah, I'd really like to have part 2 early, I will do that. I just want to like experiment with the engagement of our audience members. And I also kind of want to like see tangibly a little bit, like if people listen to the end, if you will. I see the downloads, I see them, and I appreciate them. We all, Maddie and I both see them, and or I tell her about them, and we see them, and we appreciate them. But I kind of just want to like see, yeah. And also part 2. One of the reasons part 2 is so long, just as a heads up, is that David Hattinger and I, the one that has the Jesus line of sugar tasting so good because Jesus made it so good, or whatever the hell. Which we'll explain a little bit better in the interview. But we talked, and there was a lot in that interview that I thought was good that I didn't want to cut out. And so I am giving that its own little space. But again, I would like to do it now. I would like to have a 2.5, almost 3 hour episode. But at the same time, I'm respectful of timing and how people like to enjoy listening to this. So that's what I'll do. That's the deal. So if I see one more Apple Podcast review, one new one, or I get 3 people telling me that they want part 2, or just reaching out and saying, hey, I heard the pod, I'll release it early. I will. I'll do it. You test me. I might even do it anyways, regardless of if I hear those things. Maybe this will be a failed experiment. Who's to say? But regardless, thank you so much for listening, and for the people that have reviewed it. We appreciate it so much. And the guest stars that reached out to us, I am so grateful. Maddie and I both really enjoy hearing all those behind the scenes details. So thank you again so much. And then, stay tuned for whenever part 2 comes out, because it's a doozy, you guys. We've got some really wonderful news and news. I say news, but I mean like we've got some really wonderful behind the scenes news, because it's new information, which is news. Anyways, all right, you guys, have a great holiday weekend. I say holiday weekend because my office party is this weekend, and I'm thinking that a lot of people's holiday parties are this weekend. So go get good and hammered if that is your intention. Take an Uber. Take the Uber or the Lyft, or have a DD, or do something to not drive drunk, and have so much fun. And we will see you next week, or maybe, just maybe, we'll see you early if I hear from you. All right, you guys, talk to you soon. Maddie and I say hi and bye, and thanks for listening. Bye, guys.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.